Bob the Builder. It's been a long time since I've been around Bob the Builder.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, your fan club guys just left. I just had a meeting with some new coaches, and
Troublemakers.
troublemakers, huh? And they were just talking about how much they love the podcast. So the
Really?
Youngs and the Maharas were here learning how to use all the computer tools, and they were like, "Okay, we got to run. You got to do that podcast."
I love it. We have fans.
We have fans.
Wow. That's awesome.
Welcome to Second Take at Eastlake, a podcast of Eastlake Community Church in Irmo, South Carolina. You are invited to join us any Sunday at 9 or 11.
Speaking of getting nauseated, I have a question.
Okay.
Rob, I don't seem to get nauseated on the lake. Do you get nauseated on the lake?
No, I do fine on open air. It happened when I went to the Galapagos. I thought I was going to get sick, and I'm a little nervous about it on the cruise we're going on next year. But I don't think I am anymore because I'm realizing it's cars for me. Because I went across open ocean in a boat that was going like this, never got sick.
Okay.
I think as a person who does not get sick, I think it's just a ploy ever since middle school to get shotgun out of guilt.
I can assure you that mine is much deeper than that.
Well, and
Rob just doesn't want the back seat. That's what it is.
No, you don't want me in the back seat.
Yeah, well, my riding shotgun happened because of an unfortunate incident with our former lead pastor when we were flying to Chicago.
Oh, really? Did you throw up?
On him.
Oh.
Ooh, she did.
Well,
I heard about it. I wasn't there, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say is like
It happens to the best of us. So
to back up my case is like all these people say they're car sick. I've never actually seen them get sick, but you just debunked that. That's not true.
Yeah.
I have gotten sick in a car, in a van.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In fact, about a year ago, we were going somewhere, maybe to Mosaics last fall, and Rob posted a picture to Instagram. And said former lead pastor commented back about who I think it was Tony Keller sitting next to me that he needed to watch out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But you know who I get the most car sick with of anyone on the planet?
Our illustrious current lead pastor.
Ray Washington.
Yeah, he's a terrible driver.
It's awful. And he keeps the temperatures, there's like fake heat hitting you at all times. Oh my gosh. So when we were going on that trip, we were on our way to go to one of the outings, and I was in the back seat and I almost had to get out.
Well, you were close to the subwoofer, so that helped out, right? The vibration.
Oh, my whole body was shaking.
So maybe to start this podcast, we should each take turns talking about what the worst part of riding in the car with Ray is. I feel like our listeners want to know, what's the worst part of riding in the car with Ray? Now, we love Ray.
We do.
But let's go ahead and just be real.
We're going to keep it real.
I think the worst part of riding with Ray is the subwoofer that overtakes the high end. So you only hear the bass, but none of the vocals. It's only bass.
And you can't talk to each other.
Lord, you are good, and you're
and you can't talk to each other.
Nope. I got another one, but somebody else go.
Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe when we get in the car with him, he does not want to hear what we have to say, so he makes it loud, and then we can't talk to him about it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I always feel like I'm on a windy mountain road.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jerking the car around.
Yeah, there's not a subtle like, oh, I need to go a little bit right. Like, it's more of a I need to go right. Need to go left.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this is good because Ray's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, I know, but we may make him really mad, which is.
But he'll be in the comments.
But Ray, I'm the only one that thinks that you have sustainable driving habits. I don't mind your driving. I don't mind cars, and I don't mind open sea. It's merry-go-rounds that get me. That was the only thing to get me. So if you on a merry-go-round with me, to get away from me. Merry-go-round.
Oh, I can
Right.
merry-go-round.
Oh,
But I
my
can't get
gosh.
out of the church parking lot
Ooh,
with Ray without, I'm already nauseated.
I can't
So-
merry go around. You know what? Another thing that's interesting about riding in the car with Ray is he's always scanning for the police. He's got that.
Is he
police
really?
scanner. Yeah, he's got the police scanner that beeps when there's a policeman around.
Who
I don't
doesn't?
think I've paid
I'm like-
attention to that.
I'm like, is Ray running from something? What's going on here? We got a little legal operation going on.
We all use that app. I use that app. You get
No, he's got one of the original get you pulled over in Virginia radar detectors.
Yeah, the kind that they put out in the truck stops back in the 90s.
Oh,
Yeah.
Were
he's
you
got-
born in the 90s, Malcolm?
I was the greatest day that the Lord made was 1995, April 1st, 1995. Greatest day known to man.
That's your birthday?
1995.
1995.
Yep, April 1st, 1995.
I like
Okay,
that
so
year.
what we're saying is that Ray has a police scanner
That's older than me.
that's older than you.
Malcolm, I got married that year to my wife. We'd been dating already for a year when you were born.
Yeah, I got my
What?
first car that year, Subaru Justy, 3-cylinder.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yep. All right.
That's good. That's
That is
good.
good. So we got, in case you guys didn't know, Malcolm's in here in the hot seat with us today. Malcolm, it's not his first time. This is not Malcolm's first rodeo, but
No,
Not the first time I say the podcast, and not the first.
yeah, Malcolm's done this a few times, very pro level. But yeah, so we're gonna go through this last Sunday and talk a little bit. But first, instead of doing a game this week, just because, you know, for most people it's a holiday weekend, it was a holiday weekend for us. But we managed to stay pretty dang busy through this holiday.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
I'm just curious if you guys have any highlights from the weekend or anything you really enjoyed, or funny stories, or anything from the weekend. Instead of a game, just it could be a good funny story. I've got one funny
So-
story.
Well, I don't know if this is a funny story, but I learned something from Joyce Moran while I was cooking more hot dogs than I've ever cooked at once in my life. I have two ways of cooking hot dogs. One is on a grill, and the
Uh-huh.
other is in a boiling pot of water.
Yeah.
I learned that you can like put a hot dog in a pan and brown it like you would on a grill. It's
Yeah.
a whole new world.
Did you put
Yeah.
olive
Have you
oil
ever
on
done
it or
that?
something? What
No,
put
no,
oil?
you had them. They were just cooking them right there, Malcolm. They were just
Yeah.
cooking them like it was a hot plate.
Huh.
Yeah. But I've never, if I'm going to cook a hot dog inside, I have always boiled it.
I
And I don't
grew
like
up.
boiled dogs.
Yeah. Boiled
Huh?
I
dog
grew
is
up
so
cooking
good.
hot dogs in pans like that. I grew up with that.
Like Joyce did.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that was all
Yeah, we-
new to me.
That's the way we cooked a spam.
Yeah,
I
we
feel
were
like,
camp-
me
What?
too. I cooked the spam that way.
Yeah.
we were
But-
couldn't afford a grill pour, so we used the pans, man.
Well, I'm telling you, I
Damn.
feel like I've been born again. I now can cook a hot dog in a pan.
That's amazing.
Mm.
Well,
I'm happy
my-
for you.
My favorite part of this weekend was on Memorial Day when we were taking people out on the boat. And, you know, everybody's at different levels of having ridden on a tube before, or never ridden on a tube, never ridden on a boat. There's different people, different experiences, right?
Mhm.
Well, so I kind of give a quick little speech like, hey, this means faster. This means faster. This means kill me. And just kidding. I don't do that. But I'd teach them how to tell me to go slower, faster. But I never told them that you have to let go. And so one of the people that I was pulling, he's like, he has too much weight on the front of the tube, and the tube starts going underwater. And he literally goes underwater with the tube. And I see him, and I stop the boat, and here comes the tube out of the water, and he's still on it, holding on. I just straight pulled him under for probably 20 feet, completely submerged underwater.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, dude, you gotta let go,
That's
man.
fantastic.
And lean back.
Oh
But
my.
Oh my word.
that was
Yeah,
one
I
of
like-
my funny
I love
stories.
that.
Uh,
I love I loved the diverse group of people we had at our family lake day, age-wise,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
culture-wise. I mean, we had all ages from babies that were being held to just our more seasoned individuals, some of them from East Lake, and everybody had fun. And so for me, as tiring as that day was, I will tell you, late Memorial Day was exhausting.
It was
Because Malcolm and I had preached the day before, which we'll talk about that later. But and then we had to be over at the house, at the Bucks house, by like 9 o'clock to set everything up for people that were coming. And then we went home, and I came home for like a half an hour. And then this part was fun. I ended up over at Michelle's house, just hanging out with the Campbells and the Trayers, most of the Trayers. And it was just relaxing. But that part where we were on the dock trying to keep people from sinking the dock, there were so many
That
people
was
trying to get on board.
exciting.
The dock is going down, and I couldn't even see it. I just knew my feet were getting wet, and all of a sudden I hear Philip go, "We got to get some of you off the dock." And I turn around, the dock is going underwater behind me, and I
Did you
just thinking
actually
he didn't
break
even
a
know
dock
it.
by having too much?
But you didn't break it, but you can put enough weight on it to put it underwater.
Yeah, we had so
it's got
many
that
people
movement.
on it that it literally started sinking into the water.
Did
Oh
you
my-
see Leah's face on Tuesday when y'all started telling these stories in prayer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was fine. She was fine.
I was like,
Yeah.
this is
Nobody got
crazy.
hurt.
This is like a
Yeah.
spring break YouTube video or something. Like we could totally go viral. Like massive Memorial Day crowd sinks dock. And
Oh
then
my God.
everybody was on the gangway like plank that goes out to the dock, and I'm like, there's got to be a weight limit on that thing. I mean, there's
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
be a
like,
breaking
come back,
point.
till you're on the
So
part that's
Michelle
like sunk
keeps
into the
pushing them
ground.
back.
I
Yeah.
was like, we're gonna be on the news for sure. We're going on the news today. I can feel it. It's in my bones. But it was a
I
fun
thought
day.
it was fun.
We laughed it off. We had a great time, and it's just. I think I'm with you, Rob. Everybody, it was a diverse group of people. I did not personally want to get in the freezing cold water, but turns out like everybody else did.
Yeah.
I didn't get in the water once.
Yeah,
Not
but
one
everybody
time.
seemed to be having a great time kayaking and all kinds of stuff.
This is the first lake day where I felt like nothing was gonna grab me while I was in the water. Yeah.
Is that a concern for you?
Yes, it was because for the long. Listen, I'm the person for a long time. I still kind of believe this, but I guess I'm wrong. That Lake Michigan has whales in it. When I was at Navy Pier when I was 5 years old, I swear they said we went on a boat. I'm telling you, they said we were going whale watching. I was 5, and I remember a fin coming up out of the water. So for a while, I just felt every time I jumped in the lake, something could possibly nibble on my feet. But this time, I was very encouraged. Very encouraged.
That's
Oh
a
my god!
fabulous picture
Who's
of
that
Malcolm.
handsome guy?
Did you go
Yeah,
under the water and
Malcolm-
like? Did you snorkel?
That's
Oh, I don't
admirable.
have a video. I think his wife has a video
Oh yeah,
of him.
snorkeling.
This is how he snorkels, though. You know how most people go underwater to snorkel? Malcolm stands up and puts just this part of his face in the water,
Can't my hair.
in
My
the
hair.
pool. It just blows out.
I can't get the hair wet, and it is snorkeling. You're underwater. Your face is
No, that's not
underwater.
snorkeling. That's not snorkeling.
Ugh. I wasn't getting all down there. So, it
So
was
you,
a
you
fun
can't
lake.
get your hair wet?
No, loosen up, and I gotta take it out, and I gotta get it.
Okay. It'll loosen your braids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Okay.
man,
Yeah. So that was my lake day. So I actually got in. I was not scared of anything in there.
That's
Not
good.
fully in.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we were missing was one of those giant unicorn things that you can float on.
We had
Those
that.
We
giant-
had that.
we had a giant unicorn floaty.
Did you
You
not
didn't see it over
see
there?
I missed it.
The
Yeah.
kids were playing. It's like a Pegasus. See, with the
That's what I was
unicorn-
thinking. I used to
Yeah.
have one of those at my pool. It was so.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Philip, was
Yes.
Caden, was my oldest on your boat when he said that? When he was like, my mom's his mom said you cannot go in like the tube.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
said, all right, I can't go in the tubes. And like Philip, you said, like,
Yeah.
all right,
So
who's going
first
in
he
the tube?
goes, he goes, I can't go on the tube. And then later on, and then like 30
Philip.
seconds later, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. You have one. I love it.
Yeah.
So like, a minute later, all the kids are like, I said, who wants a tube? And then 2 kids said, I want a tube. And then your son said the same thing. And then I was like,
me.
wait a minute, didn't he just tell me he couldn't tube? So then I do a circle back. I'm like, we got to talk to parents here. We got to make sure we're not killing anybody out here. I'm not trying to have a sinking kid on my watch. So we figured it out.
Okay.
But if you guys ever want to go tube, Malcolm, I'll take the whole fam out and we'll tube all you guys want.
Yeah, the kids were not excited that the rule was your parent has to be on the boat for you to tube.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
That was not a popular rule.
It wasn't popular with the people, but we kept them alive. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt.
So that picture that had the unicorn, oh, there went Rob.
I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm slowing down.
Oh my goodness.
Green platform that kind of stayed on top of the water. So Corinne Blagg is out there doing one-armed
cartwheel
acrobatics. Yes. On that thing. I was like, Andy, is that one of your girls out there? He's like, yes, it is.
Wow. Rob, put that back up there.
A friendly reminder, just remember when my internet slows down, I don't leave. I turn off my camera.
I think
so. I'm still here when you see the.
You need to change your picture to something like experience.
Is that Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a holy picture right there.
I think he needs to change it to experiencing technical difficulties picture.
No,
there you go.
Because I figure most people are here to listen to us, not watch us. So
be back shortly.
Yep.
Yeah. One of those things. Well, let's talk about this last Sunday. It was a Memorial Day weekend family service, which means we had the whole church in worship, kids, everybody, and it was a blast. It was cool too because Malcolm and Rob both team taught. I always like team teachers because my ADD kicks in, and then it's like you get a new preacher, and then your ADD kicks in, and then you get a new preacher. It was excellent. So Malcolm and Rob taught, and it was really, really good. I thought you guys did really good together. Are you guys still friends after that?
Well, it's a day-to-day thing.
My space.
But what people don't know is Malcolm and I have been working together like that since November of 21.
Yeah.
When he first came on kind of in the intern role. Yeah. And we did that in the student room for 6 months, Malcolm, before I stepped out and you stepped into the front.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, it was great. And Malcolm, I think one of my favorite things that I walked away from Sunday was seeing our church be so excited about you preaching. I think for the student pastor to come in and preach, it sometimes in some places can be like, oh, the student pastor's preaching, I'm checking out or whatever. But I just felt like the whole church rallied behind you when we're like, all right, Malcolm, they were cheering and like, what are you going to teach us? And everybody was with you instead of like hands folded, kicked back like, oh, student
this
pastor.
is only for the students.
Yeah. What was it like for you to teach the first time, man?
Well, it was real cool because you have the first like ministry or group I got involved with was the men's ministry. And I went on the retreat with the men and talked to them for the first time. So like fast forward to now, them being in the room, seeing that progression and the students, the parents and everything. Cause I was here for like a year, just being poured into, like doing nothing ministry related. And so I think that came full circle. That was really cool, knowing most of the people I was talking to. I think that because the big thing is like, how nervous are you? Like are you nervous? This is a different ball game and everything. The progression of being with the students and me and Rob and him coaching me through having the same conviction, the same Bible literacy, just the same just energy and study for the Wednesday nights as Sunday. So that type of just mentality made it like a seamless transition. So I was really comfortable up there talking to them because I just poured the same energy in the Wednesday night. So that was good. Yeah, I think that working on it together and having a smaller condensed sermon with Rob really helped me out. And it just felt really cool. The last time I preached was at my sister's funeral. My sister who's 3 years younger than me, about 3.5 years ago, in front of a big crowd. So yeah, it was really cool. And to have my wife there and everyone there, that just felt awesome. So yeah, man, it just felt awesome. Yeah.
That's cool.
One of the cool things for Malcolm that I saw Malcolm had that I didn't have, to be honest, when I was first thrown up on stage when I was a student pastor, gosh, in 2002, 2003. Malcolm just said it. We have the same amount of preparation expectation for our student ministry messages that you have for Sunday morning. So Malcolm has been living in a world where he's been trained and taught to teach to a standard that would always work on Sunday morning too. The difference is the audience is a little different. So, you speak a little differently when you've got more adults in the room, but not differently biblically. And so what was awesome was watching Malcolm not have to stretch a lot of the biblical muscles, because every week when he's standing in front of our students, he's bringing a similar theologically pure, solid message to our students, not just glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
And so the transition piece that I was praying for him on was the audience is a little different. And this was even more different because we had little kids we had to talk to as well,
Yeah.
and so I knew he was going to nail it because I've seen him teach our kids the level of theology that we already do. And it was cool to watch them. I agree with you, Philip. I loved watching people respond to him.
Yeah.
Because I was a victim of that. Oh, the youth pastor's preaching, I'm going out of town, for about the first 3 years that I stepped on stages in my churches.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have, by the way, my messages were garbage. So
no, I think, go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I was just going to say that's a shame, because we're supposed to be about discipleship and really, seeing somebody come on new and exercising their gifts. They are being discipled in a different area of their Christian walk. Now, not everybody's going to be discipled to speak on a stage on Sunday morning or on Wednesday night, but it still should be looked at as a positive discipleship step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. So on this, one of the things that we were talking about was basically whenever we don't follow God, or whenever we put other gods before the one true God, whenever we go against God's will, like all these different things that we're prone to, God actually can remove some blessing or some direction or some, blessing is a great way to say it, I believe. That's the way Malcolm said it, and Rob was saying it, from your life. So that basically means that whenever we don't do what God is asking of us, we actually restrict God's ability to work in our lives. And that's a very good point that you guys made, because nobody would walk around saying, I want to limit what God's going to do in my life. But I think that we often do. So I was just curious from you guys, like, was there anything as they were talking that you guys learned about yourself or even your preparation? Michelle, was there anything with you that you're like, I really learned this about me, or I learned this about God?
You mean from Sunday's message?
From Sunday's message, yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciated just that point. I think what I learned about me when Malcolm said that the Israelites were coasting, that word can be so many different things. And so we were talking a little bit in teaching team. I said, sometimes we coast because we're tired, because we've worked hard and, we need to coast to recoup. But other times we coast because we're lazy, or we're afraid, or we just plain don't want to do what we're supposed to do. And so I think one of the things that, if I find myself coasting, I have to ask, why are you coasting? If you're coasting because you're tired of from doing good work, that's great. If you're coasting because you're afraid to do something, or because you don't know how to do something, and so you're stalling, well, then you need to look at, how are you going to address that? Because I don't want to limit God's blessing in my life. I need his sustaining power.
Yeah.
I'm sunk without him.
Yeah. I think for me, I left, and really even during the last song, because that's kind of my time of reflection too. My prayer was, okay, God, are there any areas of my life that you're wanting to work that you're not working in because I've restricted that by my choices or whatever. And just saying, God, all right, if there are places like that in my life, reveal those to me. Because a lot of times it's very easy to hear a sermon, and maybe our listeners will agree with this, that you can go hear a sermon and say, good point. Amen, Pastor. Way to go, Rob. Way to go, Malcolm. Way to go, Michelle. Tell it like it is. But we don't ever actually say, well, is that for me? I mean, it seems real obvious for me to say, of course, that's for me. But I would encourage you as a listener of this podcast, when's the last time you heard a sermon and said, okay, what in there is for me? And so my prayer was, is there anywhere that you're wanting to work that you're not, because of me, because of things that I'm doing in my life? And so and all week I've just kind of had my antennas up to that, and my spiritual antennas. That's a funny thing. I think I just made that up. That's real nerdy.
Well, my thing was in the first point that I ended up having in the message. I made the comment, I think a lot of times we're asking ourselves, am I good enough yet? And I think as I was studying the Israelites to get ready and looking at Hosea, why were they running after Baal and why were they doing all these things? And the only thing that could drive that, outside of pure rebellion, but I think even the pure rebellion is driven by this, is this desire to try to be good enough. And I'm going to hedge my bets. Yes, God, you are God. And I'm going to hedge my bets by also making sure that I'm good with Baal, that I'm good over here, that I'm good over here, and that I'm good over here. But yeah, you're number one. But all these, I think a lot of times I learned about myself in my walk. I don't experience God's blessing because I'm trying to be good enough. And like I said in the message, I'm not ever going to be good enough. And that's the best news in the world. Because God is good enough. And I can trust that. For me, that was where God really hammered me in our preparation, and even since, to remind me, hey, stop trying to be good enough and just lean into my goodness. I mean, that doesn't mean I shouldn't act in certain ways. I shouldn't have fruit in my life. It just means I shouldn't be driven to try to get God to notice me and like me.
Yeah.
He's already got that covered.
Yeah, I like that, Rob.
Yeah,
Did you, Malcolm, even though, both of you guys are preaching, but like as a pastor, you learn when you teach too. Was there anything that you learned?
When Rob closed the second service and tell him, open up how he's seen my growth, and just really addressing me and Patricia, just letting her know how much he appreciates it being here, or the journey. It made me think of the years I was coasting. So after Bible college, my undergraduate, I had this negative experience, which it could have been gone differently, in my pastor class. And I was told, he had the right to say it, but it's how he said it. But he's like, Malcolm, you cannot call yourself a pastor if you don't use the Bible right. You're not a pastor. And me being a young man, I took that negatively. It could have been said differently, but I took it negatively, and I went 4 years without even trying to do anything pastor-like. And I got into full, I became a personal trainer, just went all into that career. So, we're doing well financially and everything, but every once in a while, Patricia would say, Malcolm, what are we doing? I don't know what we're doing together. What are we doing? And when her parents would ask her, so what are y'all going to do? She's like, I don't know. I don't know what Malcolm's doing. And so I never had an answer for her. And she kept asking me that, what are we doing? What happened to ministry? And so I was coasting. And because I didn't want to be reminded or even address the pain I was feeling, and I just went so hard into another career path to where, God stripped every opportunity away. And Eastlake was abundantly clear, that was the direction he wanted me to go. And so even this prepping for this sermon, and having Rob just say, okay, this is when we're teaching and everything, my mind, if in younger years, I would have been like, I'm in a comfortable spot. I'm not ready. I don't want to. But I had to say to myself, I said, Malcolm, you know what? This is uncomfortable. Yes, it is. It's a different stage and just stepping up to something different. But I need you to get uncomfortable. I don't need you to coast now. I need you to push yourself. So I don't know if Rob noticed this, but I didn't ask him any questions like, do you think I'm ready? Or why do you guys select me? I didn't say anything. Like, I was just like, all right, God, this is what you want. Okay, I'm gonna roll with it. Whatever you need me to do, I'm gonna roll with it. So that's what it's meant to me. Just those conversations, those comments that Patricia brought up over the years came back, and it just reminded me of where we are, and it just came so full circle. So just a lot of good stuff happened in preparing for this.
Yeah.
Now Malcolm forgot to tell you that he terrified me when the way we had three passages we were going to pick from, and I haven't told Malcolm this until right now. I didn't pick one. I waited till he picked one, and I said, yeah, that's the one I picked. Because as he was saying what he picked, I wrote it down on a sheet of paper. And I turned around and said, see, look, I picked the same one. The entire time, Malcolm, I was praying you would not pick Hosea. I was terrified of Hosea.
And then he held up that paper. I was like, oh, you too? All right, God is good. Okay. Now God,
I didn't tell him that until just now. I wanted him to pick it. I wanted God to tell him what we should preach on. Then when he picked Hosea, I was like, God, for real though?
That's funny. Yeah, I think well, I hope that our listeners hear that, and maybe the challenge is to ask yourself, if you're in church or in Bible study, just amening and saying, that's right, Pastor. Or if you're really asking yourself the questions on how God might mold you and change you through the passages being read. It's really easy to get wrapped up into the just amening and thinking, I hope somebody hears that. Oh, I wish my neighbor could hear that. I better send that to my daughter. I better send that to my son. Well, it's being sent to you too. So ask yourself, and it's being sent to us, me, Michelle, Malcolm, Rob, all of us. The other thing that I thought was really interesting as you guys were talking, and I'm always intrigued by this, is this pattern of God restoring the Israelites and then the Israelites messing it up, in this cyclical like just pattern of sin and separation from God. Is there any like theme that you guys notice in that? I'll just say this. I notice a theme. The number one thing that it feels like is this putting other gods before God. Like that's the one that seems to always get them. It like, sure, they're doing all these different crazy things, but it feels like at the root of it is like, if the root of us right now of our problems is not listening to God, it feels like the root of Israel's problems were putting other gods before the one true God. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. It's always idol worship that distracts us from God. And today, I just wanted to make sure that, there's people sitting out there right now going, oh, good. I'm in good shape. I don't have any other gods. Yeah. I don't have any altars. I don't have any of that. But you probably do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the apps on your phone. It's the things that you go to that take the place of God when you need counsel or advice. And so just to let us all back on the hook, you don't have to go worship some god named Baal or be some, have some altar, a shear pole in your backyard. You could have one on your phone or in your living room or in a relationship that you have.
Codependency.
Codependency. Those are all the things. You're right. That's the rhythm. That's the rhythm that happened to Israel. They would snap back to God and they would remember his faithfulness and they would go for a little while. Then they would do coasting, like Malcolm said. And as they coasted, they'd coast away from God and into other things. And then they would be punished, sent away, or put in the corner. And then they would repent and God would restore them and the cycle would start all over again.
So what's the advice then? If that's a pattern we see in Israel, that's a pattern we see in us. What's the advice to break that cycle within ourselves? Are there any pointers if there's somebody listening that's saying, you know what? I do that. I get married, I can't stand him, I divorce him. I get married, or whatever, whatever the cycle is in their life. How do we break those cycles? I mean, Michelle, she's a great coach. She probably knows some kind of cycle breaking secret, but I don't know any. What? And Malcolm did personal training. He's all about that discipline.
I was just thinking, I was having this conversation with God this morning because God's told me to do two things that I don't understand and seem kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And so I have found a way to put them off. I finally did one of them. I've got to do the other one. And I never remember at the right time, which is also an excuse. So I'm having this conversation with God about idolatry. I'm like, but I've given up this thing and this thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, but if I'm not doing what you're telling me to do, it's because I don't want to for some reason. And that's idolatry. Yep. And so, in my own life, when I'm struggling to obey, I just start praying. I'm like, Lord, you have to give me the want to. You have to show me the way to do this. Because when I put off obedience, it's disobedience.
Yep.
Real obedience is, okay, God, I heard you. I know what you want me to do. And at the very first moment that I am physically able to do it, I'm doing it. Yeah. Anything short of that is disobedience. And so, I have to pray for God to help me walk in his truth, and then for him to give me the resolve to do things that maybe don't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's great, Michelle.
And for me, what the analogy that I would use is like, you look at the 24 hours we have, and it's usually a part of the day where we're really sweet with it, and then we're like really drained. It's like you have to look at those athletes that they can, I wouldn't say pace, but they understand that I need energy for the entire day. So I'm not going to fully give my mental energy, everything to, the morning time, and then afternoon, like I'm going down, and then the fourth quarter, which is the hardest one, is like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You're completely drained. It's like, we have to stop and say, all right, I got this busy morning, and then this afternoon stuff, maybe, I need to take a break in the mid-afternoon, because I got a big fourth quarter coming up I got to put the kids to bed, or, I need to mentally, understand what's going on at work tomorrow. Like I like the night is the busiest thing. And what I see is people, they get burnt out by 8 o'clock, and then we're making poor mental health choices, poor physical choices, and what we're eating, spiritual choices. If you were just to say, I'm just really going to look at pacing my energy and my mental energy for the entire day in a way that I can give God the glory the entire 24, you'd be surprised. Like right now, after this podcast, I was like, man, I really want to go work out. But I got the youth tonight. So I worked out and got the youth tonight. I'm getting off around 8:30. I'm pretty drained. I got to get home to a baby and a wife that needs some relief. I'm not going to be able to complete that fourth quarter, So it comes down to just making sure that you understand it's a full 24, or
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm hearing? I heard it from Michelle. I heard it from you, and we talked, and Philip, you talked at the beginning. I hear getting in a rhythm. Getting spiritual rhythms into our life is the answer. It's the spiritual rhythms of Sabbath, of prayer, of activity, of contemplation, meditation, all those things. I mean, things you'll find in Rooted and beyond, is the key to staying out of that cycle that pulls us away from God.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why we teach discipleship rhythms in Rooted. And we tell people that's where you learn to be a disciple. There's nothing that disappoints me more than for somebody to go through Rooted and to spend 10 weeks reading the word, at least 5 days a week, and in community having discussions, experience prayer, experience service, and then at the end go, whew, glad that's over. I don't have to do it anymore. I'm like, You've missed the point. We're trying to train you for a lifestyle, because following Jesus.
You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It's a discipline.
Right.
It's a discipline. Yeah, I don't get credit for this because somebody else said it, but I don't know who, but in this, I find this to be true when people come to churches, they move, join a new church, or go on a spiritual retreat or do whatever, that we kind of write this like $1 million commitment check to God, like, or I'm going to get baptized for the 5th time, or, we write this $1 million commitment check to God of just like, these are all the things I'm going to do. And I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to stop doing this. And I think that the discipline, and one of the ways God helps us with our discipline, is he takes that $1 million check and kind of gives it back to us in quarters. He says, all right, every day, every hour, every minute, 1 quarter at a time. And when you mess up, you still have a pocket full of quarters. Start over again. You just keep on in that rhythm, and that rhythm is the same thing everybody keeps saying. But I really have seen that in my life of like, don't stop just because you fail. You wrote that $1 million commitment check that God knew you couldn't complete. It's good, the heart behind it, but it's a daily discipline, and that discipline gets you closer to God, and God is really the one that does it within you. It was never really you doing it. You learn that about halfway through, but yeah. I'm still learning it.
Good.
But yeah, so that's really cool. The last thing, we don't have a whole lot more time, but the last thing I would just wanted to talk about, because I think this was like the story behind the story on Sunday, and it's the story behind our leadership culture at Eastlake and a lot of things that we do. And that story is this concept of mentorship, discipleship, the fact that Malcolm came in, working under Rob's leadership or whatever, and then first time getting to teach. I think of me being maybe what people would say the lead worship pastor or whatever, but yet there's so many people who lead worship on Sunday. So this concept of mentorship and ability to flex those muscles and lean into your calling, make mistakes maybe. Why is that so important, and how do you see us playing that out at Eastlake?
Well, I just, came out of a meeting with those folks that I said were our fan club, because we have coaches, and coaches are not there to tell small group leaders what to do or to check up on them, all those things. They're there to support them, to pray for them, to pray for the people in their groups, to help take those leaders, take another step spiritually, so the leaders can help the people in their groups take another step spiritually. And so, we have, I think, 40, 50 groups right now. There's no way that I can cover them all in prayer to disciple all those leaders personally. It's too many. And so if the church is going to be the church, you've got to have people that are willing to step into those roles. And our job as staff is to help those people be equipped to go out and do those things with the people in the body and the world.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's so healthy, Philip. You've been in churches. I've been in churches that haven't worked like this. I know that. And that's not a critique or me naming names or anything like that, but you and I have talked about how different this culture is. This is the culture I know Jesus wanted created. It was the culture of leading people down roads you've been down before and helping them find their own path and being egoless enough. We all struggle with ego. Let's be honest. We all, it's a battle that every human being has to fight, but submitted to Jesus, being egoless enough to that. I can make this statement. We're in the process of hiring a children's pastor. I felt this way about Laura. I'll feel this way about the new person. I feel this way about Malcolm. If they're not better than I am, I failed. If they don't become better pastors than I've ever been, then I've actually failed. Whereas the world is, you show yourself to be the best, and then maybe somebody will catch some of what you have. I think the culture at Eastlake is the Jesus culture of, I truly believe Malcolm in the long term, and I will say this, be a better youth pastor than I ever was in the 25 years that I was solely, in the youth room. That's why I wanted to partner with him, because he threatens me if I was in the secular world. I want to be threatened because I want them to be better than me, if that makes sense. And that's the culture we have at Eastlake. I watch you do it all the time with the people on your worship team, where you are handing over what is rightly yours by position, because God has said, release that to equip them. And so just my comment is, we do it because it's what Jesus wants us to do. We're supposed to be training up those that are coming behind us to replace us. And then they replace themselves over time. And that's what the church looks like.
It's what Jesus did. Jesus didn't come and sit on a throne here on earth and say, I have arrived. He equipped people.
He left.
And left. Didn't need any of he equipped people and left. And, and there will be a day, it's fun to watch Rob kind of coach Malcolm through teaching on the Sunday for his first time here at Eastlake. But there will be a day when Malcolm will coach somebody and tell them stories of, I remember the first time I taught on a Sunday, like that is the process of discipleship too, and mentorship. And so, and Ray does that. For instance, Ray's not here today. He's on vacation. Guess what? The podcast is still going on. Everything's not based on one person. And that style of leadership is important. It's biblical. So, I try to do this as much as I can, but bring it back to our listeners. If you're listening to this, who are you discipling? Who are you giving opportunity to? Who are you letting fall and fail potentially in front of you so you can pick them back up and not embarrass them, but pick them back up and celebrate that they've moved forward, And if you don't have any of those people in your life, you might be missing out. Let's go back to the sermon on a blessing that God is trying to show you in your life that you're just missing. So maybe you're seeing the people around you at your work as a threat or somebody who could take your job. Maybe you could see those people as people to elevate. What has God given you that you can equip them with? Wow. That's talk about kingdom vision. So
what if people were brave enough to recommend somebody take their job from them?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm not saying that your livelihood shouldn't be taken seriously. I'm not asking you to quit your job and leave your family homeless. But what if we got to a culture, not just in the church, but in the world, where people were brave enough to say, I want to work for him now.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I think companies and businesses would be healthier, actually.
Yeah. I'm doing that with my kids right now. There was a season where I taught my kids everything. I was the keeper and controller of all content within their lives. And now there are many subjects that come up that I'm like, hey, Spencer, what do you know about this? Give me input on this. Well,
Right.
Dad. And it's so crazy because he's so smart and he's doing things that I'm not doing, and he's in worlds that I'm not in. He's in the technology world so deep, and
that's cool.
Hey, I was gonna say, with the student ministry, I think some when I first got into it, I thought I had to connect with every student. Like that's the job of the student pastor. And what Rob and others were teaching me is that you want to find servant leaders to where every kid can connect with at least one of those, servant leaders. And so, we have some good some leaders to where some of the girls they vibe with Amy Archer. I mean, she's amazing with it. And then Thomas Bennett has he takes some of the guys, a few of them, out to lunch, just getting to know them and everything like that. And it's just a very organic relationship that they're establishing to where I don't have to be the main person, and that's really cool. That's really good, because I shouldn't be, and I know Philip feels that too, with the worship leaders and everything like that, and Michelle with the group leaders, and Rob too with the parents and everything. And so that's really refreshing to know that that's happening. And so, and I'm excited for this fall where we, after our mission trip, Like we're really going to equip and it's really going to bring out some of the leadership and some of the anointing some of these kids have, and following it up with giving them opportunities to, express their gifts in ministry, this fall. So I'm excited for that too. So yeah, man, it comes full circle, that discipleship. Like it really does.
That's cool.
And I think you're
Yeah.
right, Malcolm, when you say the freedom that brings.
Freedom.
Because sometimes people come to a church and what they think is, I need to make friends with the staff. That's
Yep.
where it's
Mhm.
happening. I need to develop one-on-one relationships with the pastors.
Mhm.
Well, the truth is that we only have so much bandwidth, and we're not here to be, walking alongside every person in a personal way every day, but we want them to be walking alongside with somebody
Yes.
every day.
Mhm.
And so your job with the youth and our job, with adults, is to help those people that have gifts to shepherd and love and care for others, to start doing that so that everyone is cared for. But, even in youth group, Malcolm, you would just be overwhelmed with the amount of relationships
Oh my
if
gosh.
you were at the same level
Mhm.
of relationship with every kid in the youth group. It would sink you.
Yeah.
You'd need 3 of you.
Yep.
Mhm.
So true.
Yep. So good.
Well, guys, this is incredible conversation. It was a great Sunday. It was a great weekend, but we're going to have to wrap up just because all good things come to an end.
They do.
And but a lot of fun. And coming up this Sunday, there's the India mission trip recap meeting. So basically after church at 12:45, you can go to this meeting and hear about their trip, which is pretty cool. So you can
Yeah.
listen in, ask questions about what it was like for that group, what they experienced, and what it might look like doing ministry in India in the future. So that's going on. Anything else?
Well, we have
Summerama
Summerama.
starts next week. 1 week from today, Summerama starts.
Next week. That's right.
Summerama.
That's right.
Ooh.
we have a new affinity group starting, which, with the things that have happened with in our local community with our firefighters that we talked about on Sunday, this is for guys who are first responders or military or former military, to be able to connect and have a safe space to talk and create relationships with. And it's going to start on the 16th. It's called Campfire Ministry, Affinity Campfire. It's listed on our website. And I'm really excited about that because I think it's going to provide a place for people to process like some of the things that just recently happened. And that's so important.
It's going to be good. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to sign off. We'll see you Sunday, probably.
All right.
See y'all.
Eastlake Community Church is an intentional, multicultural community empowered by the Holy Spirit. We passionately pursue a loving relationship with God and everyone Jesus was sent to die for, here, near, and far.
Yeah, maybe Ray, you could test your microphone doing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air rap.
Oh, wait.
How does it go? What does it start?
All right.
It's gonna lay
So
down.
you want the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. All right.
That mic does sound good.
Now, this is the story about how my life got flipped upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there so I can tell you how I came about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground where I spent most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and all the shooting came, some b-ball outside the school. When I was a couple of guys who were up to no good, started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, "You're gonna move with your auntie and uncle in Bel-Air." I begged and I pleaded with her one day, but she packed up my suitcase and sent me on my way. She gave me a kiss and then gave me a ticket. I put my Walkman on and I said, I might as well kick it.
Oh, he's not doing he's not doing the theme song. He's doing the solo, the release, the single release.
Oh yeah, Ray just went to another level.